Well, if you wanna hear some boogie, I know the place. It's just an old piano and a knocked out bass. Well, the drummer man's a cat they call it Big Mac. And you remember me, dog, ain't no beat me daddy slack. Now mama cooking chicken fried in bacon grease. Come along with me down the road a piece, yeah. Woo! Woo! Yeah! Well, I know a place where you can get your kicks. It's open every night about 12 to 6. Well, if you like that boogie woogie rhythm, you'll get your fill. They throw those 8 beats at you like an old steam drill. Come along with me before they lose their lease. Down the road a piece. Yeah! Yeah, I know a place where you can get your kicks. It's open every night about 12 to 6. Well, if you like that boogie woogie rhythm, you'll get your fill. They throw those 8 beats at you like an old steam drill. Come along with me before they lose their lease. Down the road a piece. Oh yeah, I know a place where you can get your kicks. I said it's open every night about 12 to 6. Well, if you like that boogie woogie rhythm, you get your fill. They throw those 8 beats at you like an old steam drill. Come along with me before they lose their lease. Down the road a piece, yeah. Woo! Oh yeah, baby.
Woo!
Come get
Yeah,
some more of this
baby.
tonight.
We got it going on.
That's too much fun.
Gary Mendoza, everybody. How you doing? My name is Scotty. I'm a full-time Boquete resident and the host of Live in Boquete, a weekly 1-hour radio show all about live music happenings here in Boquete. We're playing where we're who's playing, who they are, what they play, and what's their story, their musical history, where they came from, and where do they see themselves in the future besides here or maybe here. I am hoping to hear, hopefully, as you probably are, some radio-rated road stories, maybe, you know? Everybody's got them. Anybody that's ever been on the road and sweated it out's got some entertaining road stories from all our musical guests. A shout out to our performers and for coming down here and letting us into their lives and their personalities. It's all about music, folks. And if you have any gigs happening that I haven't heard about coming up, message me at Scott McConaughey on Facebook or WhatsApp me at +507 6586 8020. I'm here to support our music scene here, so I want to give your local gig a shout out or two. Make sure people know who you are. Come on down. Let's set up an interview on a Friday before your weekend gig and talk to the people. Tell them where you're playing and what you're into. Let people know where the good music's playing because there's lots of it happening here live in Boquete. So sponsorship. I'd like to give a shout out. Thanks to the sponsors of the show, Chris Young and Company, the folks at Big Daddy's, home of the Boom Boom, and as well as Tap Out, where there's lots of spacious environment, lots of live entertainment happening there. It's a combination outdoor, indoor performance venue. So thank you for those two businesses for sponsoring this radio hour. We're going to find out who's playing where. We're going to talk to the musicians that are doing it. And that's what we're going to do. That's what this show is all about. First of all, I'm going to talk about our musical calendar, what's coming up tonight. Tonight at 6 p.m., this gentleman here that you just heard playing, Gary Mendoza, is playing blues, boogie woogie, and love ballads. It's all about the love this weekend, isn't it?
That's right.
It's about the love. It's
Valentine's Day, just around the corner.
That's right, baby. Valentine's weekend. So there's lots going on. I'm here to tell you about that right now. Gary's playing songs like this, and so, like I said, love ballads, boogie woogie, and blues at Mike's Global Grill from 6 to 8 p.m. 6 to 8 p.m., right? Is that right, Gary?
Or whenever the last drink is served.
We're going to talk to Gary and in a few minutes and find out a lot more about the man and what he does. Tonight, also, if you want rock and roll, Hashtag is back live at the Boquete Brewing Company. They always put on a good show, and they're playing from 8 to 11 p.m. Saturday, that's tomorrow, Addie and the Boquete Brewing Band are playing at the Boquete Brewing Company. That girl can wail, man. I have heard her, and she even nails Gaga. So
She can sing.
Oh, she can sing. Yeah, I'm a believer, bro. During the afternoon, yours truly, myself, Scotty, is playing acoustic rock at Tap Out from 1 to 3 p.m. tomorrow. And we're also selling tickets for the Valentine's Los Meninos benefit that Gary and I are both playing as well. So there's tickets available for that tomorrow. They're $10. There's a man in an orange shirt there, Dave, and he'll be selling tickets there. They'll also have tickets at the door if you haven't got yours yet. Anyway, from Sunday, from 5 to 8 p.m., Monkey Nerve is live at the Boquete Brewing Company. Another great band. And in the not-too-distant future, Valentine's Day, we're going to spread the love around people. Lots of live music happening around in town. El Punto Restaurant has jazz sax music by Jamie Gutierrez, Mr. Sax, along with the dinner buffet package. So that's at El Punto Restaurant. Tap Out, of course, as we just said, has their Los Meninos benefit with myself, Gary Mendoza, and a special appearance by Nicole Hart doing a tune with me. I'm not going to tell you what it is right now because it's a surprise. Tuesday, February 15th, has possibly, that's what it says on their Facebook ad, possibly live music with their Wine Not Tuesday from 4 to 6 p.m. A young lady may or may not be singing is what she says in her write-up. So we'll see. Wednesday, February 16th, of course, has a weekly drum circle event at Stone Cabins. I've been there. Great exercise for your arms and stuff. You know, fight that arm flab. People get down there. You can take your own percussion down there. They have loaner instruments. If you don't have your own, it's a lot of fun and drinks and everything else. Yeah, that usually runs for a couple hours and somebody starts a beat and everybody joins in and syncopates and it's awesome. If you've never done it before, I highly recommend it. It's a lot of fun. Also, next Saturday, Friday 19th at Tap Out, there's a double live bill with Still Kickin' and the John Weeks Band, and that runs from 4 to 7 p.m. Tickets are $10 for that limited event, and they're probably selling fast because I know from experience that Still Kickin' has quite the local following, so it's going to be a lot of fun with those two bands. That's next Saturday, February 19th, and from 4 to 7 p.m. And that's what's going on this week live in Boquete. There may be more. Don't take my word for it, but there's probably more. Now, for the guest of our show, Gary Mendoza. Like I said, he's a blues boogie woogie man, plays piano, plays mouth harp, probably plays a bunch of things that I haven't heard of yet. So anyway, without further ado, as I promised earlier, Gary Mendoza is a man indeed in love with the blues. And I'm going to ask him some questions right now and let him elaborate for you folks. So, Gary, welcome to the radio show.
Thank you for having me.
Yeah,
Scott.
well, come on down, man. I'm really looking forward to playing. That was fun jamming at your place the other day.
All right.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you do at Mike's Global Grill, and I'm looking forward to playing with you and see what you do on the bigger stage at Tap Out on Monday, man. Looking forward to it. People are going to dig it. First question, though, pal. Here we go.
Okay.
Fresno. The mean
Oh,
streets.
boy.
Tell me about that. Tell me
Where
about
do I
that going on.
go? Oh, boy. Well, yeah, I was definitely raised in the mean streets of Fresno. We were a little poverty-stricken growing up, so needless to say, we lived pretty much on the west side of town there, you know, where wasn't a whole lot of gangs back there, but there was definitely a lot of violence. So I grew up always having to watch my back and always going back and forth. My mom would move here, there, and everywhere. And so, but nevertheless, when we finally settled, when I got a little bit older, My father, I have to say now, my father was a hell of a piano player. Now he actually played boogie woogie. That's where I got a few of my chops from.
Yep.
And he also played ragtime. And yeah, he was just really into, and honky tonk. Now he played a lot of honky tonk joints back then. And back then you would just play for drinks.
Yeah.
And they would always have a lineup because once they got one guy up there and he got too drunk, they'd get the cane,
the backup plan,
and then the next guy would come, and those are the experiences I remember.
Yeah.
Okay. Now I got a passion for music in general. I got a passion for the blues, but let me back up just a little bit. Speaking of my dad, when he would come home from his partying nights, now he was a musician as well. And so he lived the life. Unfortunately, he did leave us a little early, but he lived the life. And when he would bring his friends over, like after they shut the bars down, 2, 3 in the morning or something, he'd wake my mom up. My mom would have to get up, and he'd bring 2 or 3 of his buddies, and they would sit down. They would continue to drink there at the house. And my mom would be cooking in the kitchen for them. They did that back then in those days.
Wow.
And yeah. So I will never forget the time that he woke me up from a deep sleep, still had sleep in my eyes, rubbing my eyes and what have you. He said, "Son, come here." Of course, he was feeling no pain. So he says, "Oh, we've always had a piano in the house." Okay, because my dad would play. So anyway, I'm only like 5 years old. I got tiny little fingers. But he did teach me a couple chops, you know. And, yeah, I mean, he taught me this stuff right here. That kind of stuff. Okay. So anyway, so that's about all I knew. But he woke me up one time. He says, "Come here, son." He had to pick me up, put me on the bench. He says, "Play something for these guys. Play something for my buddies, you know." And so okay. So of course I would do that. There's this song in Spanish. It's a traditional song, a Mexican song called Zacatecas, and it has that same rhythm pattern and what have you. So. Anyway, I did. I'd play that for him, and of course the guys would be clapping. My dad was so proud of me, and he said, "Okay, yeah, good job, son. Now go to sleep." You know, and that was it. Go back to bed. You know, I didn't even get a burrito. So anyway, my mom was cooking. You know what I mean? So, so that was the beginning, pretty much, of my being familiar with music because of my father, and he had a beautiful voice as well.
Nice.
And so I'm glad he was able to pass that down to me. I am a vocalist first and foremost, but I do play instruments whenever I can't afford to hire somebody. Then I'll play instruments to back myself. So moving on, at the age of 10, now at the early age of 10, again, my passion for music, I discovered the Beatles. And, boy, I tell you what, I was never the same when I heard those guys playing. It's like, wow, I was really a hardcore fan of the Beatles.
Music changed.
Oh, my goodness, yeah, way back then. So because of that, as I was in school, you know, I started performing. I wanted to sing, and I learned some of their songs. I started performing at the local, at our school talent shows. So I would do that, and of course, being a little guy like that, you know, I'd bring the house down because they thought I was more cute than anything else. So I started performing in front of a live audience, again, at the school talent shows, and even local fairs, the contests they'd have there. And I even did a live radio show back then at the early age of 10 years old. Can you believe it or not? There was this guy named Al Radka. Yeah. I'll tell you a little bit more about him. He had a TV show. He had a talent hour, and he would come down to different towns, and he would film or record people like we're doing now. And I was one of his featured artists or his featured singers. Back then I sung a Beatle tune called Chains. Okay. Yep. So, But moving back just a little bit more before I get there, so I did these live contests at the fairs, and again, I will never forget. For people who saw that movie La Bamba, I kind of felt like Richie because I remember my oldest sister. She was the one that was like my manager, and she wanted me to get up and perform, you know. And of course, you know, as much as I loved it, I was still a little fearful, a little, you know, anxiety. I was thinking, I don't know if I could do that because then I'm going up against full bands, against people that can really play instruments, albeit they were young people, young musicians, but they were still really good.
Right.
So anyway, I go ahead and I'm like third or fourth on, and I'm hearing a full band in front of me. I'll never forget this little girl that can really sing. Then I get up and I do a Beatle tune called Junior Behave Yourself. Now,
Yep. Yes.
back then, they didn't have the technology we have today, obviously. So I sang over the 45 record. and so I sang my little heart out.
Yep.
And I tell you what, and after that was done, I got a nice applause and what have you, and it was all done, of course. And then when they announced the winner, I'll never forget my sister coming up to me and she says, "You did good, brother. You did really good. Even if you don't win, you did really good." And lo and behold, they announced the winner, and guess who?
You got it, baby.
I took first place.
Very nice.
Now that's where my confidence level just like
Yep.
boosted up.
Rock stardom set in.
I said, I got this. I think I can do this from now on. And so I took, I think back then it was like $10 prize, but that was a lot of money back then. So anyway, so that was the start of my live performances.
Yeah.
So I did that again at the early age of like 10 years old.
Nice.
Then, as I progressed and I played a little here and sang a little there, I discovered the blues at the early age again of 15. That's when I knew I had this friend of mine, and man, he played a mean harmonica. And I fell in love with that instrument, and to the point where I told him, "Man, can you just give me a few lessons, you know?" And he showed me a few things. And that's where I learned how to play my harmonica. Now, I didn't play it a lot back then. Of course, I bought one, and so he showed me some licks. And that's when I really discovered the blues, okay, because he was so good. And so, of course, after he showed me a few chords and I moved on, I tell you what, I will never forget, or I'll always remember how moved I was when I heard my first blues song by Mississippi Muddy Waters.
Yep.
The song was, of course, Hoochie Coochie Man.
Hoochie Coochie Man.
Which was released on the same year I was born. So anyway, back in 1954. But when I heard that song, I got to tell you what, I was, again, talk about never being the same. It just cut right to my heart.
Yep.
And along with that song, of course, we had Howlin' Wolf.
Yep.
Okay, and he was another one of my early inspirations, and I still do a lot of his songs to this day. I do have a full band. I'll get into that a little more later. But anyway, so I fell in love with his music, and then I heard B.B. King. Oh my goodness! So
the
B.B.
fire was lit.
Oh my God! When he'd make, if you look at some of those early videos of B.B., man, he would make all these facial expressions, you know, and I was thinking, man, he's feeling it.
Yeah.
And that's when I knew the blues was different than mainstream rock and what have you that was going on back then.
It was a feeling.
It's feeling from the heart.
You bet.
Feeling from the heart. And so that's when I went ahead and I said, okay, I think this is what I want to do, you know. And I did it as much as I could back then. Didn't have a band back then. However, I grew up, got older, and I ended up getting married to my first wife. And because of that, I put my music aspirations on the shelf. And I raised a family of 4. And that was, 10, 15 years. And I just like, okay, I just wasn't doing any music for the first couple of years. Now, we were attending church back then, my wife and I.
Right.
I couldn't take it anymore. So they had the church choir.
Yep.
And they also they had a gospel group.
Yep.
So I approached them and I said, you know, I can sing and I'd like to join the group.
Got to do it.
So, of course, I did. They heard me and they liked what they heard. And lo and behold, I ended up joining the gospel group. And we actually, we had a little, it was on for a while there.
Yeah.
And so I was singing gospel. So I do have some gospel roots.
Mm-hmm.
And again, gospel and blues, you know, brother and sister, you know.
Yep.
So, I did that for a number of years, and we even did some really big shows. I'll never forget that because eventually had a full band, and so I was the lead singer even back then. There was this artist by the name of Carmen, may he rest in peace. He just left us a year or so ago, and he was really going strong. He was really going strong, like back in the early '80s, and so I did a lot of his covers, and like Sunday's on the Way, you know, and that was really a big one. So I did a lot of what's called contemporary Christian music.
Right.
Now, I wasn't doing the old gospel standards.
Right.
Okay, so that was well received by the young and old alike, and so I was having a blast with that. Well, you know, as life progresses and things change, twists and turns in life, a few disappointments here and there, I find myself getting divorced from my first wife, and so we ended up getting a divorce, and so you know, I just like, okay, where do I go from here? So I moved, actually. I made a few moves. I moved from Fresno, okay, and then from Fresno I moved to San Luis Obispo.
Yep.
Is where I started actually my first blues band. That was back like in '95. But getting back to moving on, you know, as far as with the music, with performing. So after my divorce and after I ended up in San Luis Obispo, I thought, okay, now it's time. As I was going through this divorce, I said, now it's time to get back in and sing the blues. Well, trust me, I was singing it with a lot more conviction because I had experienced a lot of pain, baby. Let me tell you. So, man, I mean, I was feeling it, and the people could feel it too.
Yeah.
That's the fun part, and the you know, the mystery of singing blues, and even other ballads that aren't blues. You know, when people can relate and they are having these memories about certain things that happened when certain songs were.
It's therapy. It's therapeutical.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And so, because of that, I figured, man, I jumped in and I got this band started, and this was like back in '95, and man, we went strong. We went strong up until about 1998 for a few years. My band and I, we were booked every Wednesday at this place called, it was a bar and grill. I believe it was Jack's Bar and Grill back then. It was in a little town called Atascadero. So we played there for like 2 years, every Wednesday, and so needless to say, the band got really tight.
Yeah.
Got really tight, and then we started doing a lot more performances because we started getting a lot more offers.
Right.
Money was better.
Yep.
And so I just had a blast. I just had a blast back then playing music. Yeah. And go ahead. You got something you want to ask?
No. I'm just gonna clean my glasses here.
Okay.
No,
Well,
keep going.
Moving on.
Yeah.
So what ended up happening is, you know, you were talking earlier about certain stories. I've done a few other radio show interviews, and I was asked the last one that I did, what was my favorite gig? Okay.
We want to hear that.
And back then, I couldn't really remember. I just remember telling her, well, you know, all of them were a lot of my favorites, you know. Some they were all good, some were better than others. But I started talking to Scott at my house, and I said, you know what, Scott? You know, if you ask me that question this time, what I'm going to tell you is one of my the most favorite and memorable gigs that I remember. I was playing at this place called Mother's Tavern.
Yes.
That was the spot. That was the hot spot for everybody and anybody that played blues. I mean, a lot of the locals, a lot of these legends that are around today, they all played there. And we ended up getting booked there. And the owner just really loved my band. Because, like I said, we were really, really tight. And it was a blues club.
Yeah.
So we played to the point where we were actually asked one time to open up for the infamous, the one and only, who's still playing today, Boss Skaggs.
Boss Skaggs.
Boss Skaggs.
I want to hear this.
Oh, my goodness.
I want to hear this.
Oh, when we were asked to do that, okay, reality hit. I got a little nervous. I'm thinking, man, I'm opening up for this guy? Oh, my goodness.
No pressure.
Yeah, no pressure, right? So, but anyway, of course, the bandmates were like, oh, hell yeah, we can. I don't know if I can say that. Oh, heck yeah, we can do that. We can do that.
Yep.
Yeah, let's do it. So, so we ended up, the time did come. Luckily, it was a full house. Now, back then, Boss Skaggs went into his little blues, and he started doing blues music after he had, because that was the flavor of the day, pretty much.
Right.
The blues was happening back then in the 90s, you know, and this was 96 or so. And so, of course, like a lot of musicians do these days, you know, you kind of go with where it's happening.
Yeah.
So he switched, but I'm sure he had blues roots because
he broke in with kind of more
had
pop.
he did have a killer band. He
Yeah.
had one of the best bands I've heard. But here's the deal. Here's the kicker here. This is something I will never forget. So we get up there and we do our set. It's like, I guess, the half-hour set or so. And I'm pulling out all our best songs.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I didn't play harmonica back then because I had this really, really good harmonica player in my band. At that time, took lessons from Taj Mahal and other people back in the day. So, I mean, again, all I did was sing, which I do best and which I love to do the most. And these guys backed me up. So, man, we just knocked these songs out of the park. People were dancing. Of course, a lot of young kids because there's a lot of college people there, college kids in Cal Poly, in San Luis Obispo. So, anyway, what I was told after the show by the manager at the end of the show, he says, "Hey, Gary, I got to tell you something." I said, "Oh, what's that?" He goes, "Hey, you know what, man?" He said, "Boss Gags came up to me and he says, 'Man, do we really have to follow these guys?'" True story. True story.
Awesome.
Of course, we weren't doing Lido or anything like that, so you know his baby. So yeah, I said, "Oh wow." Now he did put that on. Actually, he did put that on a reference one time, you know, about Boss Gags.
Boss, if you're out there listening,
yeah,
buddy, Gary says hi.
I do.
I do. Hey, I've got a question
Sure,
for you.
Sure.
So, you've talked about a lot of artists. Who do you think your main influence? Who influenced you the most? Who made you decide that your life was going to be music, and regular jobs weren't going to happen? Was there a moment?
Aside from the Beatles when you're young, but yeah, no, I can tell you that. Just my number one inspiration, my hero, the legend, is Muddy Waters.
Really?
He was the guy that really, to whom I would not be doing this today.
So many people,
if it wasn't for him,
cite him as their influence.
I mean, when I heard his stuff, you know, and I couldn't get enough because he had, back then, you know, he had, of course, Little Walter on harmonica. I mean, he had, you know, some of these greats.
Oh, yeah.
On
he
guitar,
had the
drum.
top cats.
He did.
Yeah.
And so when I heard his music, especially even after, you know, Hoochie Coochie Man and a lot of his other, you know, his standards that we know now today that are very popular to this day, again, I was never the same. So yes, it was Muddy Waters.
Muddy Waters.
Mm-hmm.
Here's something kind of related to that.
Okay.
Do you think, because we all know where the blues came from, the Mississippi Delta, all, you know, they came from oppression, they came from slavery, they came from, but you know, this world is changing. I mean, there's still a lot of oppression, there's still a lot of slavery, but things have definitely changed since back then. Because of that, do you think the blues will always exist? Will it always be blues music, even with the way that music's going with the younger generations? Will the blues always be there?
It will always be there, even if it goes underground.
Yeah.
Let me tell you, because a lot of times we have turned just regular people, young kids especially, onto the blues. I'll never forget, a lot of times they would come up and they'd say, "What kind of music's this?" I like it, you know.
You did with a bunch of young students, blues students. You did a tribute to the blues. Can you tell me about that?
I'm glad you brought that
Yeah.
up, because that was another pivotal part of my life, a major change as far as where I was going with my music. Okay, now that's another story in itself. Okay, as far as time frames, I'm back 2010, 11 or so. I was asked to host a blues jam at this local place called the Sporty. Okay, and so I did. Of course, you know, you couldn't ask me twice. I said I'm there.
Yep.
So yeah. So I got back then. Now we're talking. You know, I was already I was still in Sacramento at the time.
Okay.
This is after I made the move. You know. That's another story too. Too bad we only got an hour.
Stay tuned for part 2.
We got
lots of time.
I actually followed my wife over here, who made a major change, job change and career change. But anyway, I followed her to Sacramento. I was a little hesitant and what have you, because I'm always looking for the music scene, just like here. You know, I thought I was going to get here, and we're living up like in the jungle. I thought I was still going to have pure drum beats, you know. A thriving music scene here in Boquete. That's why I love it. That's why I love it here. But getting back to this jam, this music jam, that too went on for like 3 years. I'm talking wall to wall on a Tuesday night. I mean, we had, I don't know what it was. Was it the band? Was it my singing? I don't know. People just loved the flock there on a Tuesday night. Again, standing room only for years, to the point where other bars and clubs were coming and said, well, what's their secret?
Right.
And what's going on? Why is this place just jam-packed?
Yeah.
Well, I have to say, you know, I think I was a pretty good host, a pretty good leader as far as when it comes to the jamming, you know. Working with musicians isn't always fun, you
Tricky,
know.
yeah.
Big egos on some of these guys. So I was one of these leaders that said, no, buddy, I'm running the show.
Yeah.
I appreciate your input when I'm running.
The alpha dog. Gotta be an alpha
so
dog.
that was that. But anyway, we went on, and I mean, I just went through a lot of people, young kids that were extremely talented. In fact, my guitar player to this day, I'll mention his name because I know he's going to listen to this. Stephen Kimball, he just had a birthday yesterday.
Stephen Kimball.
Happy birthday, my brother. Stephen Kimball was my main man back then. God, he was only like 17 years old.
Yep.
I think he just turned, I don't know, 27, 28, something like that. But anyway, he was the guy that was my right-hand man, along with a bass player named Leo Boots, who's moved on. But nevertheless, these guys would back me, and I would get all these young kids coming up, and they would want to play, of course. And I'll never forget this one young man that came up, and his dad came up. And this kid had long hair. I didn't know if he was a little girl or a little boy. He had long hair, a tiny little petite thing, you know.
Yeah.
So he comes up to me and he says, "Hey, Gary, do you think my son can get up on stage and jam with you guys?" I said, "Well, where's your son at?" And I looked, and he goes, "Oh, he's right there." And I said, "Oh, I thought that was a little girl." I said, "Oh yeah, of course." I said, "Well, yeah, I was a little hesitant actually." I said, "Well, yeah, he knows the blues." He goes, "Yeah." He goes, "Oh, okay." Oh my God. That kid got up and everybody's jaw just dropped.
Nice, yeah.
And to the point where I used him on 2 of my productions later on in the year that I hosted, Musical History of the Blues. And he was still a little guy back then. We had to put him up on a table. And he was, and you can see it on YouTube, Musical History of the Blues. So he was one of the young kids that also moved on. He's doing jazz today, but he was a hell of a blues player back then.
Nice. Yep.
So that was my passion as well, to the point where at one time, for about a year, I was actually hosting 3 of those blues jams. One in this town called Folsom, and then there's another one like in Lodi, and I was on a roll.
Yeah.
So needless to say, I met a lot of musicians. And of course, you being like you said, the alpha dog, or you being the main man, everybody, "Hey, Gary, I can play, Gary. Can you get up here? Hey, Gary." So everybody's coming up to me, okay. So anyway, but I did make a lot of friends.
Yep.
And I went through a lot of musicians. Like I say, to this day, I'm so impressed, because to this day, even the young kids, I mean, they are, again, I wanted to mention Stephen's playing with the biggest names in the blues industry right now.
All you have to do is just look on YouTube and see all these young kids just nailing it, and it almost makes you ashamed.
Oh my
you
God.
know?
Oh my God. Yeah. Well, kind of similar to, us older people trying to work a computer.
Yeah.
These kids just get in there, same thing. These kids are just like, they got no shame, and they want
with feeling, and they're doing it with feeling. They've got the emotion in their fingers, and they're actually Hey, related to that, you've mostly answered that, but. So when you got here, 5.5 years ago?
Well, what happened was, again, another move.
Oh, yeah.
Okay, now I was going strong. We're going to jump up a little bit after all this. Now, I was going strong right there in Sacramento region. I have a band. I still have a band today back in Sacramento that I play with. Got some gigs all the way up until August. If I stay there, when I go back, we'll see what happens. But anyway, I met before that, I got to backtrack just a little bit. I met a good friend of mine at that jam who became my manager, Nan Mahan, my best friend, manager. She took me actually out of these low-paying gigs and put me up on stage with these mega-dollar gigs, which I'm so grateful for. But not only that, but it's just, again, she was the writer. She's a writer, okay? And she's the one that wrote the script for this Musical History of the Blues, where I found all these young kids. Okay? And we're still buddies today. She's the place where I go stay when I am there. And in fact, we've got some gigs coming up together again, her and I.
Nice.
Okay, so she's still going strong. And so, Nan, love you. So there's that, okay? Like I say, I just kept going on after this. You asked me a question. What did we get back to?
Oh,
What was it?
Well, it's led right up to it. Were you surprised when you got to Boquete here? Because this is
Yes.
kind of semi-retirement, is it
Yes.
not? So you go back and forth. You play music back there. You come here. Were you surprised to see so much music in this little town? Because I was.
I was totally shocked.
Yeah.
I mean, I used to tell people, I said, "Oh my God, you would think you're driving down Gill Street in Memphis or something."
Yeah.
You know, it's like there's so much music
Yeah.
here, and I couldn't believe it. Now this was pre-pandemic, right?
Yep.
So I'm here. Okay, my wife moved over here in 2016. I stayed back then because of my band. I did have contracts I didn't want to break. Plus, I was playing this piano, these keyboards at these retirement homes,
Yep.
and that was just almost every week, 2 or 3 a week, and that was very lucrative. I mean, but I loved it, you know,
Yeah.
because I love those people that I learned a lot of. I played a lot of music that my dad used to play for my mom.
Right.
All back 30s and 40s, you know, a lot of 50s stuff. So I learned a lot of that. So when I played for these people, I mean, I was playing just about in that region, you know, every retirement home there is. So I was very blessed. But pandemic hit.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, and honestly, within 2 weeks,
Yeah.
wiped clean.
Yeah.
No gig, no more. I couldn't believe it. It's like, ooh. So the wife had kept saying, "You need to move back. You need to come over. You need to come over." And I said, "Well, guess what? I think it's about time I do, because I'm not doing music here, you know."
Yeah.
So, but anyway, so when I did come over here, okay, I did come down here and I visited back in 2017. Is when I came. And I felt it out. And the first guy I ran into, I'll never forget him, Adam from Adam's Reach.
Oh yes. Yep.
And I ran into him at the brewery, at the Boquete brewery.
And he's our local guitar hero for all those who
Absolutely.
haven't heard his name.
Yes.
Adam Reach. Yep.
And he'll be coming back, I believe, sometime
Soon,
this month.
yes.
Yeah, to play.
Yeah.
So I'm hoping to sit in with him again, because he was a very generous guy and very nice man. He musician and really, really good. Man, that guy plays just about every song you know.
I think I have to get him on the
I think you
microphone
do.
here for an interview. We'll
think
get him
you
in
do,
when he gets
yeah.
back into town.
So he was kind enough to get
Yeah.
me up to play with him. So I played a little harp with him and all that
Nice,
at the
yeah.
brewery, and that was a lot of fun. So yes, so back then I knew that I wanted to come back and start playing music here. So
Yeah.
that was in 17. So I ended up making the move here. I'm not a resident yet. I'm still waiting to see where that goes. But in the meantime, as I go back and forth, you know, I'll still be kind of splitting my music
Yep.
in the U.S. and the music here. I am hoping to start a blues band. You hear that, blues guys?
Hey,
I wanna
blues
start
cats.
a blues band.
Yeah.
I need a bass player. I need a drummer. I need a lead guitar player. So
Gary's looking for guys, people.
me
So
up.
if you love the blues,
Hook me
yeah,
up.
either
Check
contact
me
me or
out.
get a hold of Gary Mendoza.
Absolutely.
Go see him tonight at Mike's Global Grill,
Absolutely.
6 o'clock.
Absolutely.
He's playing there. I was going to also tied into that. I guess you really don't miss the music scene because you're getting back there. You're still doing it back there. You still got your band in the U.S.
Yes.
You're coming back here playing these gigs. These gigs are a little smaller, but
Yes.
you still get to come and it's a different feel and stuff.
is.
So you're not
Absolutely.
really missing the U.S. scene because you're still a part of it back
Exactly.
there.
Oh,
Yeah.
exactly.
Yeah.
No, I love it here. I got to tell you this. The day I stepped out of that plane and I looked around, I fell in love with this place. I said, "Oh, this is definitely heaven," like everybody says. This is paradise. So I knew back then this is where my heart was going to stay.
Right.
You know, and it will, because I love it here. My wife loves it
And
here.
you've got a beautiful house with a great
Thank
view.
you. Thank you. Yeah,
Saw
yeah.
it yesterday, folks.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I'll be staying here, and again, hopefully get this blues band going. Because as much as I love playing these solo gigs on the piano, I love a full band sound.
Yeah.
And I also sing with backing tracks. I love those because they don't make any mistakes when you're on the So anyway.
Yeah, and they always show up at the gig.
They do.
Yeah.
And not have to
And
pay
you
them
don't-
anything.
And you don't have to worry about them stealing the girls.
No,
you know,
not
yeah.
at all. No, no.
Just want to take a bit of a break here.
Yeah.
Once again, you've been listening to Live in Boquete with me, Scotty, sponsored by Big Daddy's, home of the Boom Boom Sauce, and Tap Out Sports Bar, where live comes to play. But there's lots more live in this town, and that's why I'm doing this, folks. There's lots of, you can sit indoors or sit outside all over Boquete, and there's always live music happening here. we've got Gary Mendoza in right now, and he's been telling us all about himself and where he came from. And the man is in love with blues and boogie woogie. I don't know about you, but I think before we shut this puppy down, I want to hear a couple more songs. Can I hear a couple more songs?
You know what I want to do next?
Yeah.
Because for tonight, I'm gonna, I'm plugging for tonight. I'm hoping to get a good crowd, everybody.
Yep.
Again, because Valentine's Day just around the corner, I chose to again sing a lot of these old standard songs, with the backing tracks, along with some of these songs that I usually do on piano, which I'm going to do a couple right now. They're ballads, and they're love songs. So, let me do a couple for you right now that I'm sure most of you will recognize. This one here is called "Since I Met You, Babe," or actually, no, this is the one I'm saying. Save the Last Dance for Me.
Okay.
Well, you can dance every dance with the guy who gives you the eye. Let him hold you tight. You can smile every smile for the man who held your hand neath the pale moonlight. But don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So, darling, save the last dance for me. Well, I know that the music's fine, like sparkling wine. Go on and have your fun, laugh and sing. But while we're apart, don't you give your heart to anyone. And don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So, darling, save the last dance for me. Don't you know that I love you so? Can't you feel it when we touch? And I will never, never let you go. I love you oh so much. So you can dance, go and carry on till the night is gone and it's time to go. If he asks if you're all alone, can he take you home? You must tell him no. And don't forget who's taking you home and in whose arms you're gonna be. So, darling, save the last dance for me. Save the last dance for me. Oh, save the last dance for me.
Cha-cha-cha.
Hey,
Awesome,
cha-cha-cha.
Gary. And tonight at 6 p.m., Gary Mendoza is playing blues, boogie woogie, and love ballads. It's Weekend of Love, People's Valentine's Weekend at Mike's Global Grill. So that's what's going on. I'm just going to once again give a shout out to who else is playing in town, because I do this a couple times in the show in case you didn't hear it the first time. Rock and Roll Hashtag is playing at the Boquete Brewing Company tonight from 8 to 11. On Saturday, Addie and the Boquete Brewing Band are playing at the Boquete Brewing Company, and That Girl Can Wail. You'll want to get out and see her. That's tomorrow at the Boquete Brewing Company. And during the afternoon at Tap Out, yours truly, myself, is playing acoustic versions of all your favorite rock songs, 70s, 80s, 90s, from 1 to 3 p.m. at Tap Out. And, of course, they've got their usual food and bevy specials going on, the pulled pork sandwich and stuff. Also, Valentine's Day, the Los Meninos benefit. You're going to be able to buy tickets down there tomorrow for the Los Meninos benefit on Monday at Tap Out. So we'll get back to that Sunday from 5 to 8 p.m. Monkey Nerve is live at the Boquete Brewing Company. And in the not too distant future, next week, Valentine's Day, once again, El Punto Restaurant has jazz sax music by Jimmy Gutierrez, Mr. Sax, along with a dinner buffet. And I didn't mention this before, but Barra del Cusco is presenting a night of mariachi live, a couple special from 6 to 8 p.m. So that's what's going on. Also, the Tap Out benefit that we've been talking about. Gary and I are both playing at it, plus a special guest appearance helping me out on a tune by Nicole Hart. And that's Monday from 2 till 5 p.m. And it's going to be a lot of fun, people. Tickets are $10. They give you a plate of food. There's dinner and drinks, other dinner and drink specials as well. And come and support. Your money goes to the Los Meninos Cat Sanctuary, where they look after, excuse me, lots of injured and abandoned cats and find homes for them. Myself and my wife have personally found a cat there, and we love going up there on Fridays for their open house. You can go up and pet cats, get cat love, get smelling like other cats, and then go home and make your cats jealous, and maybe they'll pick up their game a bit. So anyway, back to what else is going on. Tuesday, February 15th has possibly live music, possibly with their Why Not Tuesday. Also, February 16th has a weekly drum circle event at Stone Cabins at Casa Vieja at 4 p.m. You can bring your own percussion instruments, or if you don't have your own, they have loaners. So, and of course they've got great prices on their food and bevy specials. Saturday, February 19th, a double live bill was still kicking, and the John Weeks Band. I think I'm going to have those guys in here next Friday talking about that gig. I want to find out. You bet. Yeah, they always bring in a good crowd, people. Tickets are $10 for that limited event. I'd get out and get them if I could. That runs from 7 p.m., so that is Saturday. And that's what's going on this week live in Boquete. How much time we got? We got time for one more song. How much time? We're done? We're done. Okay, we're done. That was easy.
Okay.
All right.
Yeah.
Once again, we'd like to thank Tap Out and Big Daddies for sponsoring it. This was live in Boquete with your host, Scott McConaughey. Thank you very much for tuning in, and tune in every Friday at 10 a.m. Thank you, Gary Mendoza,
for
coming
having
out.
me. It was a blast.
All right,
Thank
go
you.
see Gary tonight, 6
Please
p.m.
do. Please do.
All right.
Get some boobies.
Mike's Global Grill. Thank you.
All right.
Do we get an encore?
What's missing? I'm not following you. Tell him what's missing. I don't know what's missing. Huh? Okay, let's see here. There's no more time. Oh, ya es todo. Ya es todo.
Yep.
No más tiempo. Yeah, that's it. We're done. Falta. We're done. I'm not.
Yeah.
No, English.
Yeah.
Okay. So I think we're done. Are we off air? We're trying to get this.
Or are they yelling for an encore?
Oh. Okay. Yeah. Me and you just go.
Mas? Do we want Mas? Mas! Oh, hey! Encore time!
Let's
Do
go,
it!
baby. Come get some of this, folks. Oh, here we go. You ready? Let's go. Okay.
All right.
No, we're good. C. Here we go. C.
C, we can do C.
I didn't change the transpose button. Oh, yeah. Well, get out of that bed and wash your face and hands. Get out of that bed and wash your face and hands. Get into that kitchen and rattle those pots and pans. 'Cause I'm a one-eyed cat peeping in the seafood stove. Yeah, I'm a one-eyed cat peeping in the seafood stove. Well, I can tell, pretty baby, that you ain't no child no more. Well, your willow dress is sun come shining through. I said your willow dress is sun come shining through. I can't believe my eyes, all that mess belongs to you. Oh yeah, you gotta shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Yeah, shake, rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Well, you won't do nothing, save your doggone soul. That's right, baby. rattle and roll. Shake, rattle and roll. Here we go. Well, you won't do nothing, save your doggone soul. Woo! Come and get some of this tonight. Yeah, all right. I always end my songs, my sets. I try to end my sets with this song here from a standard from Chuck Berry called "You Never Can Tell." Right? We never know what's going to.
You never can tell.
What's going to happen around? Going to come around.
And you never can tell when we're gonna stop. We're just keep playing here.
It was a teenager wedding, and the old folks wished them well. You can see that Pierre didn't truly love the mademoiselle. And now the young monsieur and madame have rung the chapel bell. C'est la vie, say the old folks, they go to show you never can tell. They furnished up an apartment with a two-room robot cell. The Colorado was crammed with TV dinners and a ginger ale. But when Pierre found work, the little money come and worked out well. C'est la vie, say the old folk, they go to show you never can tell. Well, they had a high-five phone on board that let it blast. 700 little records all about the rock and rhythm and jazz. But when the sun went down, the rapid tempo was the music fell. C'est la vie, say the old folk, it go to show you never can tell. Oh, that's right. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. C'est la vie, say the old folk, it go to show you never can tell. Oh, it was a teenage wedding, and the old folk wished them well. You can see that Pierre didn't truly love the mademoiselle. And now the young monsieur and madame have rung the chapel bell. C'est la vie, say the old folk, it go to show you never can tell. Cha-cha-cha. Oh, my goodness. Too much fun. Are we done? Yeah?
Fine. Senko? Senko!
What? We got Cinco?
Oh, you got Senko.
Shoot.
All right.
Yeah, come on. How about this little medley there? Speaking of the hoochie coochie,
All right.
man.
What key is it in? What are we doing?
G, baby. Make it
G.
easy for you. Gonna make it
Nice.
easy for you, yeah. Let's go, baby. All right. Gypsy woman told my mother before I was born, she had a boy child coming. Ah, gonna be a son of a gun. Gonna make you pretty women jump and shout. Then the world gonna know. I said what it's all about. Yeah, you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Yes, I'm the hoochie coochie man. Everybody knows I'm here. Yes, I am now. Woo! On the 7th hour, on the 7th day, on the 7th month, 7 doctors they say he was born for good luck that you will see. I got $700, baby, so don't you mess with me. Yeah, you know I'm here. Everybody knows I'm here. Yes, I'm the hoochie coochie man. Everybody knows I'm here. Oh, yes, I am. Some folks are built like this, some folks are built like that. But the way I'm built, don't you call me fat, because I'm a built for comfort, baby. I ain't built for speed. But I got everything. Oh, you good girls need. Yes, I do. I ain't got no diamonds. I I got everything. Oh, you good girl. Yes, I do. Woo! I think we're done. Oh, my goodness.
Gary Mendoza, people go see him tonight.
Yeah.
Live at Mike's Global Grill, 6 p.m. till 8 p.m.,
Yeah,
I think,
6
right?
to 8.
Yep.
All righty. So, all righty. Yeah.
Thank you for very, very much for listening to Live in Boquete every 10 a.m. on 103.3 FM locally here. Cherokee Radio.
Oh, yeah. Whoa!
Woo! Thanks, Gary.
There you got it, man. All right, thanks for having me. We're good? Yeah. Good show, brother. Thank you. Thank you.
I think I'm going to do. Okay.
¿Ya es todo?
We're done.
Okay, gracias.
Gracias.
De 10 a 11.
Oh.
I think
okay.
think what I'll do is I'll get next time
10 to
I
11, but we thought she had said we're going to quit earlier. Yeah, because I thought maybe you were going to go into giving more.
No, that's about it. I usually give a shout out, but I just didn't know the tiempo, what time, because we didn't